Hey kiddos, you want to talk about warfare today? I love the Total War series. They're just a masterclass in finding a way to suck your time away, kind of the way that Civ would just do the one more turn thing. I really love these games, and I think it's not really time wasted if you're having fun, but I think the amount of time I spent playing these games, I probably could have practiced other hobbies. And really, I only just want to play games where I can play as some kind of a Celtic nation, Scotland, Ireland, you name it. Because I watched Braveheart when I was 8, and it crippled my ability to pick characters or factions, and I'm just dealing with that now. I never really got too far into the other games, mainly because I don't like things that are different, like Shogun. I really don't want to get judged for having an opinion on a game for not owning the rest in the series, but having some knowledge about the history. Take it from me, I'm not going to touch Warhammer. I have no interest in the series, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I'm not touching that. I ain't touching it with a 10-foot pole. I just will not. I've seen some people talk about certain games in the series with kind of some really hard feelings that I don't know that I really have, except for one. So with all that in mind, I had myself a random day off, and I said, today is the day I'm going to crack open one I haven't played in a while. I'm going to play Empire Total War again. Sure enough, all the memories kind of came rushing back. I bought it for my brother when I was younger, because I thought it'd be a really nice gift. Turns out you had to have Steam to play it, which back in 2009, 2010, whenever it came out, might as well have been asking your parents to land something on the moon, at least where I grew up, because they didn't even let me get RuneScape membership back in the day. So anything to do with the online did not go very well. Not to mention, our family computer was like a Dell. That thing barely ran Medieval 2, so I don't know how I expected it to be able to run Empire. I mean, we're talking like 10 frames a second. It did not work out. So I barely got to play this when I was a kid. Diving back into it as an adult, I learned some things. I imagine there's some of you here thinking I'm just gonna shit on the game, and that's not what I want to do. Kind of just want to take the game as a whole, past, present, and everything, and lay it all out. Because I think this game is worth talking about, but I don't think the game is necessarily worth remembering. So that being said, I'd like to talk about the positives of Empire Total War. I do want to say that I think the game looks pretty good for the day and age it came out in, especially as a successor to Medieval. I think Medieval still looks good, but also I play RuneScape, so really graphics don't really mean much to me. Empire especially, I really think they tried their best at graphically improving the game, unless if you zoom in on the units. What's my other positive? You can shoot out of buildings. If you plant a unit in a building, they'll defend it and shoot out of it like they're defending their homeland. I would love it if that was in more Total War games. I think it would enhance the siege. If you could station units in buildings as opposed to just fighting through the streets, which is fun, but it'd be fun if you could occupy buildings again. I think that'd be great, especially for the ranged units. I also would be remiss if I didn't mention just how much detail went into the ships. They took schematics from actual ships built in the day, and then they recreated those ships. All for me to go, that's too confusing, I'm going to auto-resolve it. Because if the battle's not a 1v1, I'm not fighting it. It's too goddamn confusing, and I just will not play part in it. Not because I don't want to learn. I appreciate that every nation finally got its own voice actor. The nations speak the language of the nation you're playing as. Where like a Medieval, when you boot that up, you play as the Holy Roman Empire, the same voice actor is voicing France, I think. Just sounds the same and relatively goofy. Unless you're playing as Scotland, then you got your own guy. That guy's nuts. What else do I have positive about this game? I like that they kept the main menu somewhat thematic to the old games, where there's kind of voidy shadows that are running into the chaos of battle. There's battles happening, or like a Medieval where they're marching. Of course, in this one, their faces are somewhat colored in, so it's not as cool, but I appreciate some thematic follow-through. And wouldn't you believe it, that brings us to the bad. This is the fun part. This is the good part. The shit on the game that's 15 years old and hope that they learned a lesson from it. Let's talk about the battles first. So, I think the thing that it might have skewed my interest in this game is that the last time I played Total War games, they were dramatic, fantastical ways in which battles were fought in the eras in which they were fought. Now, I have no problem with them being fantastical and a little bit more thematic with things. I more appreciate that they were fun. And I'll be damned if I'll say that, like, lining up line infantry and hiding skirmishers and doing the same, let's put a line behind a line, or a line with a line, or a line with artillery, or a line with cavalry, it gets a little boring very quickly. And I understand someone out there could say, well, what's the difference really? It gets really fucking boring. Play one battle, you will quickly understand how demoralizing it is to go, all of my lines are lined up with their lines, and now it's just a duel to the death. It kind of takes away from the whole element of we're going to make a desperate charge and I'm going to push axemen and all that. And I understand it. I get it. Historically, it makes sense. It was the beginning of modern strategy where things changed from have line A run into line B, and there was a little bit more in-depth placement of things like artillery and cavalry. Not to say that there wasn't otherwise. And I love the realism of it, but also with this game, I really only have fun if I'm outnumbered or I'm fighting with units I don't know what they're doing. And I get it. Units don't really seem to have the flavor that they used to. And that makes sense. It's also really fucking boring. I don't really see any reason to not just build line infantry, some cavalry, and a bunch of artillery like Napoleon, because you're not going to beat the line infantry. I know there's some special units that could probably counteract some skirmishers, but once you learn the fire and march thing, you've won the game. And just build line infantry. Just build more. Build more. I mean, in theory, yeah, you could build the pikemen and stuff just for fun. It doesn't work for me when I can gun down 300 people instantly. Also, get Graveshot. That's the good stuff. All of this is not to say that I don't see where they were going for, because I think they did a really good job of summarizing the period. But maybe that's the point that bugs me, is this is a Total War game. A game is supposed to be fun. And having to micromanage my lines...
One thing I hate. All the lines.
I guess the point I'm trying to get at is that the battles feel so much more dry and so much more boring. There's no shock units, unless you're counting artillery, because you can wipe some people out with that. I really don't think I can make an in-depth video about the mechanics. Really, any of the game-breaking stuff that I see some people like get into when they talk about this game. I think I just kind of feel what I know, and what I know is what I feel. What I know I feel is not good. But that isn't to say that I don't understand the complexity of some of these games. I just know that I want to play the games that play along with the fucking caveman brain I have, that say, these heavy guys are going to hit those guys, and the light guys are going to handle the light guys. Any combination of in between, I'm there. I have the total barbarian brain. I want things to be fairly similar of, if I have a heavy troop, it's going to knock out a light troop, and light troops can overwhelm the heavy troops, if you feel me. And this is where I get to bring up the monster under my bed. If there's anything I understand, dare I am, I could say, a filthy casual at these games. If you can get light chariots and missile cavalry, you've won the day. I guarantee you any of these guys that play these things professionally or have put more like concentration on the subject, they could swamp me. But I do know how to outrun and pull some Highland maneuvers on these guys. And that's what's carried me through every campaign I've ever played through these games. Have fun with that. I just think the battles feel a lot more dry. Did this really have to appear in a Total War game? Is this really what we wanted? The earlier battles you get to before you can like field large armies, when you kind of have to scrap together some units, that's fun because you're talking about combined arms. There's pikemen, there's linemen, there's irregulars and cavalry. You really got to kind of piece together the puzzle there, and that's exciting. But by the end of the game, you really should just be running line infantry, and that's somewhat disappointing, but also somewhat inspiring for people trying to capture that historical period. Lastly, I just want to say on the battle thing, I think it's such a shock that you get a notification that the general died. That's just it. You just get the skull, that one. Right, you get that. If it's green, it's good. If it's red, but I kind of want to kill Cam. As much as it frustrates me in the Total War games to like, we have to stop everything and see that general die. Well, like, you know, my second flank is failing and I have to stop everything to see that happen. While that's frustrating, I kind of want the monumentous occasion that like somebody died, especially something as crucial as a general where all my lines are going to start failing. I think I want a cutscene. I'm serious. Give me the cutscene. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's talk about the campaign.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker!
The campaign sucks immediately because you can't play as Ireland. It's an immediate docket of 5 points out of whatever I'm counting points out of. I don't make the rules. There's nothing I can do about that. And in all seriousness, I do want to say the campaign, I think, suffers from having the vastness of an ocean, but the depth of a puddle. There are things to do. Start Total War, right? I appreciate the tech system. The tech system's great. I think this is the first one to kind of introduce it and keep with it, which is really exciting and also sort of daunting, only because their tech system feels like the most half-assed like civilization tree I've ever seen, where everything is just an immediate bonus. It's exciting that at a point I'm just going to make line infantry more unbeatable, and we're going to figure out how to fire guns faster and also put a ring around our muzzle so we don't have to plug the whole goddamn gun. I love that tech. That's good tech. However, for the minor nations that don't get a university or don't have one at the start until a town grows, they are stuck plugging their guns. I think that's a wee bit of an oversight. Maybe you kind of just let research grow organically, but universities are bonuses. Because as it stands right now, I'm just saying, I would hope that the gentlemen that show up at my university are ready to enter the Thunderdome. You get to sit there with your gentlemen and rakes and just start sniping people to keep them out of the ability to research. The other part of the campaign is diplomacy. I know they advertise that. Well, it's there. This is going to be a little bit personal, but I do want to talk about the music in this game. And I think that's something that's going to be very frequent with me going forward. The music in this game, it's a letdown. It's not that it's not well made or that it's not good music, but it's really fucking boring, dude. I swear to God, of all the battles I fought in the entirety of probably the 20-something hours I played, I got the same couple of battle tracks unless I was playing in North America. It's great music. It's very well conducted, but the variety is just not good. And especially when you consider that this game is the size of the world this time. They really, really wanted to go all out. My point is, I think there's like 2 tracks when you're fighting in Europe. I think one of them is the Battle of Bunker Hill and the other one is like the Battle of Quebec. I swear to God, I heard that 50 times. I think the issue is, I think the music isn't as grabbing as it used to be. Can we not have soundtracks that really grip you? There's nothing that pulls me in quite like Attila's soundtrack or Rome. I mean, Rome had some great pieces to it. Even in the overworld, Empire's overworld just sounds fine and fits, but it just doesn't catch for me. What a letdown. When I play Rome Total War and I win a battle, I get...
This is a great victory!
When I win a battle in Empire, I get...
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
We have to talk about the difficulty. This just happens with all Total War games. They all have the same goddamn The other thing I wanted to complain about was just the difficulty of the campaign. The campaign isn't necessarily difficult inherently, but then you get these neat little sliders right here. How hard would you like your campaign to be? How hard would you like your battle to be? Being able to boost the enemy morale and my morale drops, that's not difficulty. That's just a handicap, and it goes both ways. Playing on easy mode, your troops get the buff, theirs get the debuff. But where it gets interesting is the campaign difficulty. It would seem on the easier modes, nobody declares war on you. Everything's cushy as could be. But when you slide that thing up to oblivion, that's where the real fun starts. Leave it at normal. Just don't. Everyone's on an even playing field. It's all up to your tactics and their tactics. Even though their tactics are going to suck every fucking time. The AI could not work itself out of a cardboard box in this game. But on the campaign slider, that's where it matters. At this end, you get like total pacifism. And as you move it on down, that's where you get insanity. That's where this is where the real game is. Because if you can't make it up on like the battle difficulty, that's why you want it at normal. Start it here because you're going to be at war with Europe in about 3 turns. And I say this meaning that, like, I think the only way to play this game, if we're really talking about a total war scenario where, like, the battles are sort of milquetoast, music is milquetoast, and the campaign map and diplomacy just sort of exists, the only way really to play this is to let the AI just go insane. Because it forces you into some creative solutions. I think the reason I wanted to make this video is because the unhinged shit that happened to me. I thank God on turn 1, I took a sloop, I took about 8 troops, I sailed towards Texas, and thank God I did that. Started conquering my way through Mexico, had a little bit of a new world holding, but it was the last thing I could stand on, because every turn I was fighting 40-minute battles. A broken AI trying to siege a settlement where the AI decides to sprint their units up to the fort, under fire, lose everything, and then I, because nothing works in this game, have to sally my troops forward to go bum rush a cannon position, hoping that I don't lose enough men so that when the next 40-minute battle happens, in the next turn, we have enough units to keep up. I don't know. I think that was a good 6 hours of doing that. Never got anywhere with it until one turn where all my units were melted by grape shot. I lost Prussia. So anyway, Prussia exists in the New World, and the only thing I could do, take over the rest of the New World, and then eventually sail back with everything I had. I'm sure there's someone who would love to comment that if you just played as Great Britain, this wouldn't be a big fucking issue. I do just want to say it though. Look at that. Look at my dude here, and then look at my dude from Rome Total War. What a downgrade. This, but this, that's exciting. I can tell things about these people. Is that too much to ask? Like, that way I can kind of track my characters, because right now they just kind of bleed into the same. I have nothing to follow, like journeys and characters, stuff that in the previous Total Wars that I would go, I'm going to follow this general. I want to know what he's doing. I do want to say it again. I don't hate this game. I'm sad that it didn't work out the way that it did. And I know somebody's going to mention something about, well, play Napoleon because they kind of fix all the things. I don't own Napoleon. I'm talking about Empire Total War. We're talking about the roots. I'm just disappointed about this game. And I think that's my point with the whole thing. There's some people that really are very passionate about the game. And they want to keep it alive. They have answers for people like me who don't know what the hell's happening. And then they'll also tell you just play Napoleon, which maybe. But until... Empire just feels very bland. Bland is not good for a game with the label Total War behind it, right? It's a big word. Where the fanboys will really hate me is where I say, I think games like Attila did it way better because they stuck to a theme. They not only stuck to a theme, but they stuck the setting, the theme, the music, the units, everything. They dug in and did it. It wasn't some half-assed remake. Thing with Attila is that you know where you stand as soon as you boot into the game. You're either in the way, out of the way, or you are the way. And with Empire, you're just kind of a nation, you know? There's no goals, there's no missions, there's nothing to kind of guide you in a way that would make you feel as though you're doing something more substantial than just being a little insane and conquering Sweden. Maybe the word I'm looking for is stakes. Unless if you're doing what I did, kind of that core element that, like, even Rome 1 put on of there's 2 other Roman factions. They will swarm you and they will outrank you very quickly if you don't start expanding. Empire does nothing like this. It just gives you the world map and says, I think there's just no like clear pointers I can give this game. I think that's what's so fucking frustrating about it. The economics are no more complex than any other game, but it takes place in a period where the Industrial Revolution starts and everything starts becoming quite more complex. There's not even Africa in this game, really, other than Morocco, I think. But I feel like they cut out half the world. Half the world's not present in this game. I feel like the map of Rome 1 was probably bigger. The whole thing's just disappointing, and I fucking hate it. I think at the end of the day, I could not give this game a pass if I tried. It's boring, really. A lot of that is with bad gameplay, bad AI, bad diplomacy. There's no grand to the grand campaign. This game is just something of a letdown. I just really wish I could say I enjoyed playing it, but I didn't. If you're a fan of the Total War games, avoid this game. It's just sort of a mediocre experience, and I had to spend more time playing it so I could make this video. Anyway, if anyone had any mod recommendations for like how to improve this game that's not buying Napoleon Total War, that'd be great. My conclusion is this. I think the Total War series needs to stick to thematic small periods. Medieval, Rome, Thrones of Britannia. I'm not touching Shogun. It needs to deep dive into the periods it's talking about, do the research, figure out how battles were fought, but you can't do this half-ass shit because this game, it just doesn't stick. It does not stick for me. That doesn't work for anybody. I don't know. I don't know how to end this. Fuck them. The game stinks. Done. Play as Prussia every time. Also, make Ireland a country. That's all I got. Bye.